Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome if you're new to my channel. I'm Maggie and this is Maggie May Crochet. In this video I'm going to show you how to make what I call the silver linings blanket. So this blanket is very simple to make, even for a beginner crocheter. It is just a half double crochet and a double crochet placed into the back loops only of each of the stitches. I had to make a little swatch to show you the blanket because I gave the blanket to my son for his birthday. It turned out to be a very, very large blanket. So what you'll need to make this blanket is a size G6 or 4mm crochet hook. And the blanket I made used 3 of these 1-pound skeins of Lion Brand Pound of Love yarn. You can make this blanket to any size that you like. It's completely customizable. It's a very simple pattern. I made mine really big because my son is a really big guy. So I wanted it to be long enough and wide enough that he can be completely covered while watching movies and hanging out on the couch. All right, so I'll just demonstrate how to place your stitches for this blanket. Again, you can make it any size you like. Just make a chain to your desired length and then add one more chain to it because we're going to be placing work into the second chain from the end. So I'm going to make my sample 26 chains long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 25, and 26. Okay, so now we're going to place our first row into this chain. You can place your stitches into your chain from the front. I prefer to place my stitches in the bumps on the back. So you'll put your first stitch into the second chain from your hook. This would be 1, this would be 2. I'm turning my work over. And you're going to be placing a row of half double crochets. To make a half double crochet, you wrap your yarn around your hook, go into your chain, yarn over, and pull through. I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, and I pull through all 3 of those loops. I'm going into the next bump on the back of my chain, yarn over, put my hook through the bump, pull it through, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, and pull through those 3 loops that were on my hook. One more time, yarn over, place my hook into the bump, the next bump in my chain, yarn over, pull it through, 3 loops are on my hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. All right, so I'm going to continue this all the way down to the end. I will meet you there because I'm going to show you something when we get to this very last chain. There's something a little different I'm going to do. If you're new to crochet and a half double crochet or a double crochet is a bit of a newer stitch for you, I'm going to go ahead and place a card above and a link in the description box below to some tutorials on these basic stitches. Okay, so I'm coming up now on the last 2 bumps on my chain, and I'm going to place my half double crochets into those last 2 bumps of my chain. Now my next row is going to be double crochets. So to have enough height in my stitches, I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and turn my work. Now I mentioned that we're going to be placing our stitches into the back loops only of our work. So what that means is when you turn your work over, you see all these V's. Traditionally, making a stitch, you go underneath both bars of this V. In this pattern, we're going to be going into just the back loop of each of these V's. However, the first stitch and the last stitch of your row, you're going to go through both bars. That's going to help keep your sides straighter. So when I turn my work over, I see this would be where my first stitch will go. I'm going to make a double crochet here, so I'm yarning over and placing my hook into this first stitch under both bars because it's a first stitch. Yarn over, pull through. I have 3 loops on my hook. Yarn over, and I'm going to pull through the first 2 loops. I have 2 loops left on my hook. Yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops. So that's a double crochet. Now, from here until I get to the end, I'm going to be placing my work into the back loop only. So that is wrapping my yarn around my hook, turn my work over, I see my V, and I'm going to put this hook so that it just picks up this last or back loop on that V. Okay, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through those next 2. Okay, here is my back loop of the next V. Yarn over, place my hook into that back loop. Yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. One more time, yarn over into the back loop of my V. Pull the yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so I'm just going to continue this all the way down, but I'm not going to go into just the back loop on my last stitch. I'm going to be putting my hook through both, so I'll meet you there. Okay, so I'm coming up to the end of my row. Now, something that I want to point out, another thing I guess that I want to point out is that finding your last stitch sometimes can be really hard. Now, this is a small sample, so I can easily go through and count my stitches, but when you make the full-size blanket and you have 250 stitches to count, that can be really hard. The end of your work can get kind of rounded, and sometimes it's difficult to find that first stitch, or I guess I should say last stitch, of your row. So to make things easier, I've got some stitch markers. I'm going to show you how to put those in so that you'll know exactly what is your first and last stitch of each row. So I'm coming up, this would be number 24, and my 25th stitch is right here at this bend. So again, remember that our first and last stitch, we are going to place our hook under both loops of the V, not just the back loop. So for this one, because it's the end, I'm going under both loops. And now chain 1 on this row because we're doing half double crochets and turning my work. Now, to use these stitch markers so that you know where your stitches are, I'm going to first place my first stitch. Remember again, first stitch is both loops. So I'm yarning over, under both loops, yarn over, and I'm making my half double crochet. I'm going to immediately place a stitch marker into that first stitch. That way, as I'm working, if my work starts to kind of fold over, I'm not confused on the sides as to which stitch is my last or first. Okay, so this is going to be our alternating half double crochet row. Essentially, all you're doing for this pattern is alternating rows between half double crochets and double crochets. So my last row here was a double crochet. This will be my half double crochet row. I've made my first stitch into both bars of my V, so my second stitch is going to be in the back loop only. And I'm going to continue this all the way down, making half double crochets into the back loop only until I get to that last stitch on the end. Okay, coming up to the end again. This will be stitch 24 and stitch 25. So I'm placing my hook into that back loop only for stitch 24. And stitch 25, remember, I'm going to place my hook under both the front and back loops of my last stitch. Okay, Now, because my next row is going to be double crochets, I need to chain 2. 1, 2, turn my work. And now I'm going to place my first stitch, which will be a double crochet into this first stitch here. Okay, yarn over under both loops because it's my first stitch of the row. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I'm going to immediately, because I don't want to forget again, place my stitch marker into that first stitch. Okay, this will help give you the best opportunity to keep your rows straight and make sure that you're not shorting or making too many stitches per row. Again, this is just a tiny little sample, so I can easily go through and count my stitches, but if you get into making a really big blanket, that would be a nightmare. So I would suggest getting stitch markers. These are really, they've become my favorite. I used to have some smaller ones, but these large ones are wonderful. You can use anything as a stitch marker though, so I mean, don't feel like you have to go out and buy some. You can use a paper clip, gosh, just about anything that will fit through. A bobby pin or a safety pin too will work. Okay, so my last row was half double crochet. So again, this is my double crochet row. I'm going to now place them, or my stitches, into the back loop only. So that's pretty much it, guys. This is, like I said, super, super simple. Now, I did want a little more, I don't know, character or texture to my blanket. So what I did was after 11 rows, I started a repeat. I did a row of back-to-back half double crochets, and that turned my stitches. So you can see, let's see if I can start on where I began, that I have, oh, that's it. Yikes. Okay, so I'll show you on this one what I mean by changing it up a little bit. I did an 11 row repeat. You can repeat at any point depending on what kind of texture you'd like. So you can see my first row of half double crochets. Here's double crochet, half, double, half, double, half, double, half, double. So the next row would be half double crochet, but I wanted to switch things up a little bit, so I did another row of half double crochet, and what that did was it kind of turned my stitches around. So now what I'm seeing raised up on this side are these half double crochets. So after I did 2 rows of half double crochets, I just went with double crochet, half, double crochet, half, double crochet, half, double crochet, half, all the way up until I was on my 11th row again, and I just repeated 2 rows of half double crochet, and that brought my double crochets so that I have this nice flat area here. Okay, so it's just a different way to kind of give your blanket some character, and it's hard to see it on this small swatch, but when you make a blanket that's 6.5 feet by 5.5 feet big, you can really see that variation, and it just turned out very, very pretty. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this stitch marker is helping a lot in finding that last stitch. You see how it kind of holds it up, where before they were kind of rounded on the edge, and I wasn't sure whether that was my stitch for height or whether it was my last stitch. So this definitely marked it for me. So I'm sure that my sides will be more even because I'm using that. Okay, so let me remove my stitch marker, placing my last stitch under both the front and back loop. My next row, because this was double, will be half double crochet, so I only chain up 1. Turning my work around. First stitch under both loops, and I'm going to place my stitch marker right away into that first stitch. Now back loop only, all the way across. Okay, so I decided rather than me going through the whole 11 rows, I could just show you here because I am on a half double crochet row. I'll place my last stitch and I'll show you how to change it up. Super simple. Last stitch is under both loops, don't forget that. Well, if I can get my yarn to cooperate, there we go. Okay, at the end we chain 1 here because I'm going to make another row of half double crochets. So to get that change in your pattern, you just repeat the same row twice here when you're on your half double crochets. So I'm going to chain just 1, turn my work, and now I'm just going to do another row of half double crochets instead of double crochets. So I'm going to place my stitch into this first stitch, beginning of the row, so I go through both the front and back loop, and I'm going to place my stitch marker so that I can find it when I get to the end. And I'm going to now continue with my half double crochets in the back loop only. So essentially what this is going to do is just turn your work over and give you that different look. I really enjoy this stitch because it looks a lot like knitting. I really like the look and texture of knitting. I just have never picked up knitting myself. I don't know, it's just I find crochet a whole lot easier for me. I think some people are either knitters or crocheters, and if you happen to be both, you're doubly blessed because it's just not a skill I've picked up. So I like being able to use this stitch to give me the look of knitted work without having to learn how to knit. Okay, last stitch, because that's my marker. Front and back loop. Now I'm going to chain 2 because I'm going back to my double crochets. So you see how this makes a little bit different look now. I've got the double crochets raised. Now my half double crochets have come forward, and it's my raised row. So yarn over both loops, double crochet, stitch marker, and double crochets in the back loops only. Okay, so I think you get the drift, right? You see how things have changed here, and now this is going to be my raised row, and my half double crochets will be raised here. You can make it any size you like. I can see this making a really nice maybe stroller blanket to make a smaller size of it. It's completely customizable, and I thought I'd share it with you because I really had a blast making the blanket for my son, and he really enjoys it because it's big enough to cover from his toes to his nose. So I'll make sure that I include the dimensions and stitch counts that I used for the really, really large blanket in the description box below. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified the next time I post a video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.